Swayman. Swayman. Welcome inside episode 652 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller after the best night in a long time at the CTC. It was a 7-5 win for Ottawa over Boston in the home opener.
And Ross, the vibes remain immaculate as we get 7 different goal scorers. Is chemistry still an issue on this team?
Winning at home certainly isn't. We'll get into all the vibes, news, stats, analysis, and a giveaway. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stutzler, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Wednesday, October 19th. The show is free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where the best way you can help the show grow is to like every video by clicking the thumbs up and leaving a comment as well. Were you nervous at 3-3? Were you nervous at 6-5? I don't know. What's your answer?
Well, Ross, we didn't have time to get nervous for 3-3. We'll get into that later. But at 6-5, I will admit I was a little bit nervous. I mean, the Boston Bruins, Ross, we talk about it all the time. Those momentum goals, they killed it on the momentum goals coming out of periods right before a period ends. Like, they were really making sure they didn't let the Ottawa Senators have too much momentum other than going up 3-zip to start the game. They got some momentum there. Should have been 4-zip. We'll get into that too. But yeah, there were a couple moments where I was nervous, but looking back, that's actually kind of nice. You want a little tension. You want a little anticipation. You want some adversity for the boys to go through on the home opener. It can't always be easy, but they come away with the W. 7-5 win. Hopefully you guys had the over just like we did at betonline.ag. That was good.
We are owning BetOnline after the performance of some specific players last night. You mentioned the flow of the game. We'll get into more of that, but the storylines are aplenty. Tim Stutza, with his parents in the crowd, gets another 3-point game, his 8th in his career, the most ever by a Senator before turning 21 years old. Claude Giroux scores a goal, which we still think might be Josh Norris's.
I was convinced Norris got that, but maybe it didn't get all the way to the back door there.
However, it was his first shift at home as an Ottawa Senator, at home, Pilsy.
Can you tell that Claude Giroux was meant to be an Ottawa Senator like that? That is the hockey gods shining on that decision that Claude Giroux made, and family in the crowd too. So all the young Giroux kids got to see it, and his wife. A lot of family members in the crowd actually.
Big Walt was there.
Big Walt was there. Timmy's parents. So you love to see that. It's a family event.
And 19,000 of Zub's closest relatives as Artem Zub put this one away with the 7th goal. Actually, the lone defenseman to get a goal, but 7 different goal scorers, and every line got a goal. Shane Pinto scored. Mark Astlick scored. We already mentioned Giroux, and Drake Batherson got 2, but they only counted 1. Let's start there because the meme of this gentleman in the crowd was unbelievable. They're using it all night as we watched back the highlights. Of course, we were in attendance at the game last night with 19,000 of our best friends as well, and we want to thank everyone. We'll get into the thank yous and everything at the end of the show, but it was the on-ice product that was super exciting. What do you think of that goalie interference call?
Wait, I feel like to preface this game, Ross, we got to start with the puck drop.
Yes.
I mean, you were literally in tears. I don't think
I had a little misty eye.
I don't think I've seen you cry before, but Daniel Alfredsson will do that and it was cool to see the behind the scenes, the Sens showing them planning how they're going to do the Alfie puck drop and all that. But when they panned to him in the dressing room and he was sitting there all alone, the energy in the building was through the roof. I think there probably wasn't many dry eyes in the building because that was the perfect moment. We got to tip our caps to the Ottawa Senators PR and media team. They've really been knocking it out of the park lately, and that felt amazing for a sellout crowd, for everyone that loves Alfie like us Sens fans do, to see him back and to see him revel in that moment. Beautiful.
Beautiful day that was playing. And
yep, exactly,
I mean, that was a part of it too, right? Is that the music started building and building, and you're like, okay, well, it's like WWE. You know that like that's Alfie's music.
Yeah.
Where is he? And certainly you see him for the first time that we've seen, and I want to say first time ever, rocking the new 2D jersey. Alfredsson 11 on the back. Like, it just doesn't get any better than that. And to have it so perfectly aligned with him being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like, the only thing that could have made it more perfect, I tweeted out at Sens Central, is it's too bad Zdeno Chara is not still the captain in Boston.
Yeah.
It would have been like a guy who Alfie mentored on one side, and then the next one. No disrespect to Erik Karlsson, of course, who was next in line, albeit 1 year of Jason Spezza, be the captain. But Brady Tkachuk, the forward, the first winger captain since really kind of narrowing my filter on that one.
Yeah.
But really, it does feel like a passing of the torch. And Brady in the behind the scenes video that you referenced, giving him daps and in the line too. And awesome atmosphere. Awesome. So, okay, we got to start with the puck drop, and then let's actually do it a little more chronologically. And we're still getting into the rhythm of doing these game recaps, Bills. It's been so long, and we had some time to think about the Leafs loss on the Saturday. We do Monday to Friday, but this one here got off to about as perfect of a start as you could have imagined, just like last year's home opener.
Last year they got 3 goals in the first period, but this was basically, it was the energy was crazy, and then the Sens win the draw and then ice it right away, and then that was kind of like, okay, it's these Senators. But it didn't take long for them to really ramp things up after, as Claude Giroux gets that first goal seconds later, and the pure joy and the energy of the building when that goal happens. My God, it felt good to be home. Like, we were with the Sens sold over 100% capacity.
Yeah.
And that's the moment you get right off the bat. And it wasn't long lived, because you got another quick, great moment soon after.
Yes, it was 1:04 into the game, a little tic-tac-toe. Would have been Josh Norris on the toe.
I don't know if there was any toe there. It was just a good tic-tac.
It must have gone off the toe of the defenseman then, because that looked like a tap-in backdoor on our side. We were obviously on the penalty box side. So
Section 320.
Yes, sir. Norris looking great, though, getting his stick in the right position, if nothing else. But Claude Giroux opens the scoring. Alex DeBrincat gets his second assist of the season. And then, 2 minutes and 5 seconds later, it was Brady Tkachuk. And who better than the captain to get the crowd that much more fired up?
And I know you want his signature, the sellout,
Frank the
Tank, but this was a pure in the moment when Brady scores, and you're just like, let me hear it, guys. Like, that felt so good. And that was and both of those goals, Ross, I want to, obviously, usually the assist is a big part of scoring a goal.
Oh, not the face-off?
Hey, wait, we'll get into that. But both of those goals are results of good, clean cross-ice passes. And that's where I thought the Ottawa Senators really changed things up in this game as opposed to recent games. When they got in the zone, it seemed like they had a plan. They knew where they were going with things. Everyone knew where they needed to be, and they were able to finish off those plans too. So to get off to a 2-0 start, and I mean, Claude Giroux and Brady Tkachuk to be the first goal scorers. Thank you, hockey gods. Thank you.
And then it was Drake Batherson 10 minutes after that. Well, he had the one I asked you before. What were your thoughts on the one that got wiped out?
Garbage call. And a lot of people were making the comment that if that's anyone other than Brady Tkachuk that knocks into that goalie, they probably don't call that. But with a reputation of being in his office in front of the net and wreaking havoc, the refs may have a little bit of a negative connotation and think that he's trying to bump the goalie there. But again, I'm referencing the hockey gods a lot here. But you just knew that they were going to give Drake Batherson another chance to get a proper goal there, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes, it certainly was. So the one that counted was 13 minutes into the game. So that in itself,
it's almost ironic, Ross, that Brady gets the assist on that goal. It's almost like, my bad, like my goaltender interference that was disallowed, that took away your goal, but I'll set you up for the next goal and give you a nice pass here.
Well, not only that, how about the captain winning the offensive faceoff to get this play started? Branny with a little shake shimmy at the blue line. I love that. Timmy getting the puck pursuit to free it up, and then Brady out front to Batherson. And did you see Batherson's celebration? So good. So good. So good.
Yep.
And we started the show with the Swayman chants. I think that affected him.
I'm surprised you even have a voice to do this
I
show.
do?
Yeah, barely, because the Swayman chants were crazy. And look, we're goalie, so I mean, not that I had people chanting Pilsy at my house league games when I let in 8 goals, but or 6 goals for Swayman, but that's got to get in your head. I mean, that's tough. The energy is through the roof, and everybody's glaring at you. You got the spotlight on you, and
They literally put a spotlight on him after every goal. It was awesome.
yeah. Again, props to the Sens team. Everywhere in this franchise is clicking like a well-oiled machine. So you got to love that. And that seeps right into results on the ice.
Well, those results were questioned at the start of the second period. Coming up after a quick break, we're going to get into what went wrong for the Ottawa Senators to give up the 3-1 lead that became 3-3 and then almost, I say, giving up another 3-goal lead when they were up 6-3, and it was a Sens abroad who almost got the Bees back, a guy who was just on waivers last week. But first, we should give BetOnline a bit of an extra ad read after the amount of money line and game props we took from them last night.
Yeah, and Ross, it's the trusted online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network for a reason. They got so many good odds, props, player performance props, totals, over-unders, game spreads, whatever your choice of sports gambling is, they got it. And hey, it's not just hockey, guys. As you see from the little logo here, they got baseball, they got football, they got basketball, even golf, MMA, boxing, whatever you like, they got it. And yes, after a couple rough starts for me at betonline.ag, I finally was able to climb back here with a lot of stuff hitting last night. Linus Martian, our boy, had a similar good night, and we hope all you guys got a little taste of the action at betonline.net. It's the best spot for all your sports scores, news, updates, and analysis. Guys, it's betonline.net, where the game starts.
You're listening to Locked On Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller after a 7-5 victory that was not always easy. The Ottawa Senators went up 3-0, sure, but then it was 3 straight goals from the Boston Bruins, and we missed the 2 at the start of the second.
Ross, this is classic us. We're just having too much fun on the concourse during intermissions, and we were actually chatting with Brian 5 or 6, and we were chatting with him, and of course the period starts, and we're like, oh, we're not going to miss. Sorry, here we go.
You're good.
Just working on the here. Maybe I'll pass that off to you. But we're just chatting it up with Brian 5 or 6, and sure enough, 1 goal gets scored, and we all kind of look at each other like, darn, like, that's too bad. But it's still 3-2, like, nothing to worry about. And then, Ross, we hop back into the building, and both of us are looking at each other like, wait, huh? 3-3? How did that happen? So that was very unfortunate that that's how that period started. And like we talked about, that's those momentum goals that can just kill you if you're not careful. And this was a back and forth game the whole time. Luckily, the Sens were able to get the last laugh, though.
Yeah, they certainly were. And you look at once it's 3-3, there was no panic, even though they were 2 goals in a minute and 30 seconds. It was actually a minute, but the first goal was 28 seconds in, then a minute 30. And AJ Greer gets his 3rd of the year. Krejci scored the one to get there. And that's where you're like, these Boston Bruins, these veterans just stick around, like Bergeron, then Krejci. Like, you guys have been doing this since Alfredsson was putting up 100 points, and now he's doing a puck drop going to the Hall of Fame.
Honestly, and yeah, if Marchand was in this game, he probably would have got that goal other than AJ Greer there. So that's just classic Bruins. And that's why I think this was a perfect kind of home opener, because it's a good measuring stick opponent for the Ottawa Senators. Like we've talked about, if the Sens are going to get into the playoffs, likely it's probably going to be either Boston or Florida that's going to get bounced. We hope so. You got to be able to prove that when you're up against these teams, if you're going to try to bounce them from the playoffs, you got to be able to beat them. And the Sens did just that.
And they beat them in a variety of different ways. I love the Shane Pinto goal. Like, just the way that he calls for the pass once, pivots to open himself up, and then just waits.
Yeah, and that was something, Ross, we've been kind of chatting about how the third line hasn't quite looked like they've got it, but it all starts with a Tyler Mott breakout pass to Joseph. Pinto, he just makes himself known, like, hey, I'm over here. I'm not going to beaver tap the entire time. I'll give you 1 tap, let you know I'm here. Joseph opens it up, and as soon as Joseph turns his body for that pass, I was already up out of my seat. Like we've talked about, Pinto's release and his shot recently, especially this year, has been absolutely incredible. You think of the likes of Alex DeBrincat, Josh Norris. I think we've seen more firepower come from Shane Pinto. Pistol Pinto is what we should be calling him here, because that is an absolutely lethal shot.
It's so lethal. He put it upstairs over Swayman, and that's the one where I really noticed the spotlight on Jeremy Swayman, and you're like, oh boy, this is going to be a heck of a night for the Ottawa Senators offense, who score 7 goals. This is the type of game, and you know what it reminded me of? Last fall, I want to say it was still in October, so before the November wheels fell off. Remember the game against the Washington Capitals? They end up losing that game 7-5. Batherson had a hat trick.
Yep.
This team probably loses this game last year with the momentum swings back and forth. After 3-3, I don't think they bounce back the way they did this year.
And that's what I've been saying. Like, this is a team that is going to have to probably rely on outscoring a lot of their problems. Last year, they didn't have the firepower to do that. This year, they do. And Ross, something I like doing is on these big point nights, looking at the stat sheet, only one player for the Ottawa Senators forwards was held off the stat sheet. That was Parker Kelly. I mean, when you only get 5 minutes of ice time and spend 5 minutes in the box, you might not get a chance to get on the score sheet as much as everyone else. But every single other forward had a point in this game. Like, talk about coming out for a home opener for the fans.
Yeah, and Parker Kelly, I mean, 5 minutes for hugging. That wasn't really much of a fight.
Yeah, that's fair. But hey, anytime you can get, who did he end up fighting? I forget.
Connor Clifton, I want to say.
Oh, okay. I thought it was someone different because there was a trade. No, I'm thinking of there was a 4-on-4 situation where the trade-off was nice. I think it was Hamonic and Pasternak.
Yes, it was.
Yes, because Pasternak wears the swimming pool for pasta, that embellishment. So if you can end up getting a trade-off for Travis Hamonic in the box for 2 minutes and pasta in the box for 2 minutes for Boston, that ended up working out well.
How much fun is it to watch Jake Sanderson live?
It's great. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing I have to keep reminding myself. Maybe you're not going to see those highlight reel plays, but just if you get those glimpses of him breaking the puck out, him getting kind of pushed into a corner and he figures his way out in a smart, responsible way. That's the Jake Sanderson we wanted. And that's the Jake Sanderson we're getting so far.
It's so much fun because you really have to want to notice him. Yeah. But at this stage in his career, that's super impressive.
Yeah, and I think Sens fans want to notice him, especially with this decor being the glaring weakness of the team. And he's been impressive so far. And I'll give another kind of stick tap to Branny. I thought Branny played another nice game. I really think with Sanderson coming in, a little bit of the pressure is off Eric Branstrom, and he's not the guy he's the young rookie that's supposed to be in the top 4, that's supposed to, not rookie, but young prospect that's supposed to elevate this decor. I think he's now in a much more comfortable place, and I think we're going to see a better year from Eric Branstrom.
Something I noticed about Jake Sanderson, so he's only played 3 games, played 22-21 in the first game, and then in the 20s, 20 minutes and change in each of the next. But last night, he played 20 minutes and 4 seconds on 31 shifts. Those are short shifts. That's 30 seconds max. So get on, do something, get off. I like that. He's not extending them. We've seen it, and not to, rag on Thomas Chabot, but his shifts can get up to a minute at a time. These are nice short shifts. Get in, get what you need to get done, and then get off.
Well, I think that's just a testament to how much this team changed their game from the first 2 games, well, especially the Toronto game, let's reference that more importantly, to this game, is because up against Toronto, the reason they have those long shift is they're just hemmed in their own zone. The Leafs have all the puck possession. So it's out of necessity that you have these long shifts and a bit of a dump and chase mentality because you don't have a choice. You're stuck there. But this time, the Ottawa Senators, I thought, controlled the pace of play. They had puck possession a lot better. So that's why you're able to have much more efficient shifts.
So Thomas Chabot had 3 less shifts than Jake Sanderson in last night's game and played 5 minutes and 45 seconds more.
Not a math guy, but those average shift times, that's a little wonky out there. So, yeah, that's very interesting to note. Wow.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get to another note from the 2020 draft, who some people declared the Sens losers after that draft.
Not us.
That's a tough aging for that 2020 draft class where Tim Stutzler now has his 8th career 3-point game, 3+ points, because the last game you and I were at before this one, Timmy had 2 and 2 for 4 points against the New Jersey Devils in the penultimate game on home ice last spring. So now Tim Stutzler with 8 more than that, 8 3+ point games, which is way more than anybody else in that draft class. And I know there's different ways to measure success. He doesn't have a 5-point game. Anton Lundell does. But Lucas Raymond has 3, and he's next. And nobody else has more than 2 except Dawson Mercer. So,
yep. So, that 2020 draft was coined as probably the most pivotal draft in at least recent Sens franchise
forever.
Probably
ever since they forgot their laptop charger in '92.
Hey, we've all been there. Who among us haven't brought a laptop charger for one of the most important events of the year? It happens, right? But yeah, that's the thing. That 2020 draft was going to be pivotal to see how this team's going to shape out. And we just referenced Jake Sanderson. We just referenced Tim Stutzler. So those are the top 2 picks, and they're making it happen.
And shout out Big Head Hockey for noting that those 8 3+ point games for Tim Stutzler is the most among Senators franchise history before turning 21 years old. Yep. Brady Tkachuk and Alexei Ashen each had 6. Martin Havlat had 4. And Erik Karlsson had 3. Tim Stutzler's 8.
That's good.
And he was doing it different ways last night. Like when he picks up the puck, this guy, he's a gazelle out there. He moves so quick through the neutral zone. What is it that you liked most about his game last night?
Well, I think this just goes to show how important it is. I think when the panic people that were panicking after 2 games, maybe some people are saying you got to get Timmy on the wing, etc. He needs to play center for better or for worse because he needs to be able to roam, like you said, like a gazelle. Give him that wide open pasture. He needs to be a free range gazelle, not stuck to the boards gazelle, because he's someone that excels when he has the time and space to do whatever it is he wants to do. Like I said, I think sometimes even Tim Stutzler doesn't know what his next move is going to be, but he needs to be able to be given that space to do that. And I think he's playing with confidence. I think him playing with Brady and Drake, maybe there were some question marks raised when that first switch was made, myself included, but the question marks are gone because that has looked like a line that's really clicking and they've found some really good chemistry.
Most points among 2020 draft picks. Tim Stutzler has 90. Next is Lucas Raymond with 59.
Yeah, but
more games.
In fairness, more games. But
I mean, Lafreniere's 3rd with 55 and has played more games than Tim Stutzler.
So you can take that more games or sample size argument whatever way you want.
Yeah, no doubt. But Lucas Raymond also a great player. We kind of wanted him at 5.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, we would have liked him at 5. Yeah, but hey, then there's no Jake Sanderson, and I'll take Jake Sanderson. Like, that's the thing. Like, once you get Timmy, the need for a guy like Raymond isn't really there as much, but the need for a guy like Jake Sanderson was still there.
And when you get a guy like Claude Giroux to play right wing.
And Alex DeBrincat. So you kind of erase those problems later on.
We've got 2 tickets to give away for Monday's game against the Dallas Stars. Monday. I got a ticket right here. Monday, okay, October 24th, 7 p.m., the CTC, row P, seat 7 and 8.
Man, those are amazing seats. Like, it's a darn shame, Ross, that we can't go to that game because I would love to. So this is a heck of a giveaway here. So make sure you guys know the contest rules stated at Sens Central on Twitter, and you can have yourself a chance to enter into the draw to win those great giveaway tickets.
More vibes coming up. You're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast. We'll be back right after this. Segment 3 after a victory in the home opener for the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. As Pillsy said, head on over to Sens Central on Twitter. We've been retweeting all the great content from last night. Like, Sens fans, you were on your absolute A game.
Yeah, Sens Twitter was, if you missed the game, you probably got a taste of what it was like just by logging on to twitter.com and checking out all the vibes. And we took a lot of pictures. The meet and greet before the game at Stanley's was bigger and better than last year. And we had a lot of people that weren't able to make it last year make it to this one. Ross, we had people coming from all over the East Coast.
How many people were like, yeah, I just drove 6 hours and I pulled in right to here?
Yeah. A lot of people were like that. A lot of people coming from enemy territory up in Toronto and up in my neck of woods. A couple of people from Aurelia. We got to see a lot of other Sens podcasters, Ross, that we hadn't had a chance to meet face-to-face. Guys like Derek Lee, Jack Richardson.
Sens Talk.
Yeah, we saw Brandon Plan at the end of the game as well. So it was great to meet those guys. And there's no better time to meet everyone when the vibes are as immaculate as they are. I've got a bit of a hangover, but there's no down feelings for me here because that whole night just worked out so perfectly.
It doesn't get any better than this. And it makes me want to do these meetups 41 times a year. But I think the scarcity of them is what makes them so special.
Yeah, well, that's just the thing, right? When we can get these to work, you're coming from Winnipeg, I'm coming from the Blue Mountains, so it's not exactly easy to make it work. But I think, Ross, the play is consistently we're going to do the home opener.
Home opener is a no-brainer.
Obviously, we're going to try to do a mid-season game whenever it works for our schedule. Yep. And then the home closer, the regular, the last home opener.
We'll bookend them.
Exactly.
The last home opener. The home closer.
Yeah, the home closer we will definitely be at because that was a blast last year.
Oh, it was so much fun. Except we ended up.
I guess that wasn't the last home game. It was
the third and second last.
Montreal. Yeah, exactly.
And then I was going to go to the last one, got sick, and then they get shut out.
Yeah, so we're sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, we apologize.
That's on us.
7 straight wins. Regular season in person.
Ross, we're going back to, what is it, 2016?
2017. The Rangers, Colin White's first home game with the Sens. That's how long ago.
Yeah. Oh my
He's already signed a ticket and been bought out of it.
Honestly, yeah. And he's down with the Florida Sens now. Yeah, we have one heck of a streak when we are at the games together at home. So we're going to try to keep that going. And we'll let you guys know when the next meet and greet event is, and we're going to give everybody plenty of time so you can get your flights booked, you can get your hotels, you can get your car rentals, because you don't want to miss these events. So it was very humbling, Ross, to have a lot of people coming up to us and just the appreciation for being like, thank you guys for setting this up. And we're like, well, it's not that
shout out Stanley's, by the way.
Shout out Stanley. Shout out to everyone that made this happen. But the thing is, like, we're the people's pod. We're with the people at the game. We just want, like, we're just as glad to do those meetups as you guys are.
Probably more.
I can tell you that for free. Yeah, we love doing it. We want to make every day a better day to be a Sens fan for us and for you. So we have no issue doing the meetup, and we hope it just gets bigger and bigger because it's an absolute blast getting to chat everybody up about the Sens.
That's perfectly said. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. And I keep saying it because it's true. I probably said that 150 times last night, and I meant it more and more each and every time. Like, from the Alfredsson puck drop to the game itself, to the pregame festivities, even walking around the market in our Sens jerseys on a Tuesday and being able to, fist bump. How about meeting a listener at Shawarma Palace?
Oh, and not just any listener, our guy, Jack. We walk into Shawarma Palace, and Jack from London is there, and we kind of look at each other like, oh, hey. And he's like, I thought if I maybe come to Shawarma Palace, I might see you guys. Well,
9 locations.
I mean, what a world. And I can tell you something. If you guys are hoping to see us in Ottawa, just hang around Shawarma Palace and you'll probably see us for a while. We're so stoked to have them as a sponsor. We chatted with the owner for a little bit as well. It was great doing that. And we were planning on having shawarma.
That is so fun. We had a post game, man, right on the way to the Senate. And it was just an awesome vibe last night. It's the perfect way. And you set that base to start the day. I'm sticking with this tagline, and I spoke with Ahmad about it yesterday. Game days taste better with Shawarma Palace.
Yeah, and I concur.
Yeah, it really, Pilsy, stop me if you heard this before. It doesn't get any better than this. Who's your Sens Central standout? We didn't do the postcast last night, so let's wrap up the show doing that.
Oh, actually, this is easy. I was sitting there being like 7 different goal scorers, but
Jeremy Swayman?
Sens Central
he's catching strays.
Sens Central stand down.
I will say this, because I teased the Sens abroad. I do want to give a shout out to Nick Folino. Always a fan favorite here. Ironically traded for Martin Mathot, guest on this show.
Yeah. Wow.
However, on Wally and Mathot, when Folino is this guy just heaps so much praise on Daniel Alfredsson. So it's almost reminiscent of when Curtis Lazar came out and sat on the bench when Phillips was getting his number retired. The bond that they created from living with the Phillips. But I think Folino, if you asked him off record, he'd tell you that was pretty special being there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I bet he might even say on record, because definitely. But Timmy and Nick Folino were having some words.
Were they?
Oh, yeah. Timmy, he fought back with Folino. Folino knocked him down, and Timmy didn't just skate away. He gave him the business on the way out, so you love to see that. But heading back to my Sens Central standout, I was racking my brain, 7 different goal scorers. Who are you going to pick? There's so many options. But really, there's only one. It's the captain,
Yep.
the first star of the game, Brady Tkachuk. And what I want to highlight is, and if you guys haven't seen this, hopefully you guys stuck around after the game to hear his interview after the stars were announced with Claire Hanna, because the look of like Brady was dumbfounded, just like looking around and being like, honestly, like this atmosphere, I've never seen that, which fair. Like he probably has not been in an atmosphere like this.
He hasn't played a Sens home opener since 2019.
Whoa.
With fans.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy to think of. I mean, he got a little taste of it last year being in the building, and we did the Brady chants. That was electric. But that was only 15,000.
Yeah.
Over 19,000 fans.
And you could tell the bottleneck in the concourse.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, we were stuck until we found our
little chairs,
central booth there. But for Brady to get to enjoy this moment, and he has been just a part of losing over and over, never playing in meaningful games, being out of it in November pretty much for every single season he's played in. For him to get to soak in this moment, for him to get a goal like that, a couple extra points to first star of the game, I really think, and you can say what you want, maybe it's just a fan perspective, but I feel like he was being 100% legitimate when he was saying this energy of the building was a big reason why we were able to pull this win out. Because like we mentioned, Boston had a lot of momentum goals where they were able to kind of, like Ross, when we
start and end of the period.
When we walked back into the arena from the concourse, when they tied it up 3-3, it was quiet.
Yes.
Like the Boston Bruins really shut down that momentum, but the fans got right back up, and a 7-5 game. So I got to give it to Brady because he was absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy he got to experience a true Sens sellout home opener.
It was amazing. And I appreciate him being the first star. He was good. But how about Artem Zub?
That was going to be my second choice. So I like that you went that way.
My goodness gracious. Getting his own rebound. How many guys would just drive by after that?
Yeah, especially a defenseman like him, where his priority usually is.
How'd he get there?
Well, and this is what I was looking at. All the goals, pretty much all of them, they resulted from really great passes. And the reason that works is because Drake Batherson, he's entering the zone, and two Boston Bruins players come right up to attack him, being like, if we just suffocate him right now, he's going to have nowhere to go. But he reads the play. Zub reads the play. Zub sneaks in behind them because they're thinking surely Artem Zub isn't going to pinch in here and he's not going to try to start a rush on his own. He does. He gets the rebound, and instead of being like, okay, I had a good chance there, I better get back just to defend, he sticks with it and he gets it. And yeah, the anticipation waiting for John Trottier to do the goal announcement and stop when it's time to say Zub. Everyone was loving it, and it doesn't get much better. I know other.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Stop me if you heard that before. It doesn't get much better than this. But I know other teams have little chants when guys have the ooh sound in their name. But there is no chant that even comes close to the Zub chant, because everybody's in on it. It's no secret. And Ross, we were joking this morning.
Yeah.
It's hilarious when if he touches the puck for like a second and then dishes off, it's like Zoo, but you don't even get time to finish it. But everybody's on it. Like everybody is ready for it.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a light that goes on when he's on the ice, so everyone's at hyper focus. It's so funny.
You know, when you're at like a live studio, like a show, and someone has like the sign, like crowd applause, like here, someone's got a sign, just Zoop time. All right, audience, Zoop.
But he's more than just a pretty name. Let's put it that way. Hey, played 24 and a half minutes, had 4 hits, 3 shots on goal, was +3, and had a goal and an assist. Like,
that's a good night.
Doesn't get any better than that. But I do also want to give a shout out to Mark Astlick. Guy played 7.5 minutes. Okay. The guy, look at this. 7.5 minutes, scored a goal.
Tell me the face-off numbers.
Unreal Sally. Went 2 for 2 in the face-off circle.
Hundo.
100%. Is that good? Had 4 block shots and 3 shots on goal in 7 minutes.
Talk about being efficient with your time on ice. That's the Mark Kastlick story. So yeah, Casty, one of my guys. I love him.
When can he get a new number though? 47 stuff. And also, I see it and I think Pinto, because you see the 7 and the 2 numbers.
Fair. Yeah, fair. I think maybe when we get a classic DJ Smith, it's time to buy a house in Ottawa, yes. Mark. I think maybe then we'll look at a new number for him.
I mean, I know he doesn't need waivers, but he's the type of guy, and we talked about this in the arena last night. Yeah. It's just like, he's never going to be a top 6 guy.
No.
He'll probably tell you that as much as the others. Like, you don't need to over ripen him the way you would a Ridley Gregg, where you're like, okay, he could be a bottom 6 guy now, maybe, but we want you to make sure that you're developing your offensive side. Like, Mark Astlick's an NHLer. He's built like one.
Mm-hmm.
Get a house. I'm telling him to get a house in Ottawa.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if Uncle Deli has some real estate connections in Ottawa and can hook him up. But yeah, that's the thing, and it sometimes gets overlooked. Like fourth line guy he's going to play under 10 minutes, not a big deal. But those fourth line shifts matter, and like we mentioned, that fourth line played a bunch of time up against the Leafs top line last game, and that's important to make sure. Sure, you're only on 45 seconds, something like that, and you want to maximize the efficiency of those shifts. And if you can get a solid fourth line player, that's why Austin Watson got that long-term deal from Nashville, because they recognize what he can do, and he's still doing it on that deal in Ottawa. It's very important to have guys like that around, and Mark Astlick is a prototypical fourth line player, and we love him.
Any stick taps you want to give out to anyone else?
I mean, you got to give some stick taps to Timmy too. We mentioned it, his parents in town.
Yep.
And that video of his parents, his mom's going crazy and his dad is just kind of hanging out. That is just if you guys have German family members or understand the culture, that is just classic. Like, no jokes, no fun, serious.
I thought it was no risk, no fun.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe he added a part on that from his dad's famous saying "no fun," but that is just classic German right there. But Timmy had a great night, and that goal that he scored was classic Timmy. Like, not much time and space, but he gets it over to his backhand and makes no mistake. I mean, what more can you say? The Tim Stutzler, he's becoming a superstar right in our eyes.
Oh, it's so great to see. The Ottawa Senators have their first win of the season, and now they turn the page to part 2 of the home schedule. It's a 5-game homestand. They've got Washington coming in tomorrow, Thursday, then Arizona on Saturday, Dallas with you potentially in the crowd in the 100 level. Go to Twitter at Sens Central and enter that contest. We will be announcing the winner on tomorrow's postcast. You might have noticed no postcast last night. Shocker.
I mean, we were not in a state to do a proper sit-down postcast, and we wanted to celebrate with the people. So
if you bought us a beer, if you just said hi, if you shook our hand, we really appreciate you making time and making us your first listen each and every day. After Dallas, the homestand ends with Minnesota on Thursday, the 27th of October. So they're at home. They don't play a road game until the 29th of the month. So this is a huge, huge portion of the early season schedule. And what better way to start than with a win?
I mean, it doesn't get better than this. That's what you got to do. And that's the thing, like starting off 2 games on the road, especially against divisional teams, that's tough. Even if you look at Buffalo and you may not think that's a huge threat, and the Leafs, the Sens typically own the Leafs, so you may not think that's a threat either. But it's still tough. And you got 5 games at home. If you guys miss the home opener, bring that same energy to all 5 of these, or all 4 of these next home games.
I wish. If it was still work from home season back home, I would change my flights. I'd be at the game tomorrow night.
We wouldn't be able to finish the week's podcast. You'd have no voice. We'd have to do hand sign language episodes here, because
I literally Googled this morning how to podcast without a voice.
Yeah, so I only did the Swayman chants when I felt necessary, because I knew one of us was going to have our voice here. But we held it together. And Ross, we got to do as many of these in-person shows as we can. How fun are they? Because I've been vibing. It's felt good. It's just it feels right.
We don't have our stage director today, my mom, so that wouldn't have happened if that was the case. We will get back, by the way. It's a Wednesday. Usually Sens Central Citizen Wednesdays. We have our next few already locked and loaded, but as you can imagine, with the hoopla, word of the day, hoopla, around the home opener, we decided to take the week off of that. Still getting used to the sound effects, but we'll get those better and better as we go along. I want to give a shout out to Jonah Castle, who went to his first Senators game last night from Newfoundland. He came to the Senate with us after.
Our guy.
So he makes a trip in from Newfoundland, flies to Toronto, watches the Leafs get beat up by the Arizona Coyotes in his first ever NHL game live.
Love it.
And then gets that atmosphere in Ottawa. Like, Him and the buys must be loving it.
Yeah, that is quite the journey they made. So shout out to those guys. And yeah, watching the Leafs lose to arguably one of the
Wait. Ottawa plays them on Saturday. Watch what you say. And they beat them. They lost both games against them last year.
Watching the Leafs lose and then watching your Ottawa Senators win at home, that's a Sens fan's dream. So congrats to you guys. And I'm sure it was worth the travel.
Sophia Pierce needs a shout out as well.
Oh my goodness. Nailed that. Both national anthems. Like, that is incredible. Definitely.
Unbelievable. Just a great night at the CTC. And we want everyone to, you're not going to have home opener energy all season. That's why it is the home opener. But the boys absolutely get a push from what they see. And not only that, like one of my favorite things, and I love that everyone was on board for that, especially like it was so quick before the Alfredsson moment. And of course, like there wasn't a dry eye in the building for that. But right before then, everyone's going with the excitement, the go Sens, go chants as the Senators are coming out. Danger Flutes is playing. Unbelievable. And then the second that Swayman's skate went on the ice, the whole crowd stops the Go Sens Go and boos for the entire length of all 20 Boston Bruins players coming out on the ice. That energy needs to be kept all season long.
Absolutely. And yes, thank you to everyone. There was no inappropriately timed boos. The boos were timed perfectly for the right people. So shout out to the home fans.
Absolutely. Shout out to Ottawa. Give yourself a pat on the back. It was just an unbelievable atmosphere to be a part of. And Pilsy says that we're going to do it for the end of the season. First playoff game, we're here.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm not calling playoffs yet, but if the Senators are in the playoffs, we're going to have a meetup. Stanley's might have to blow down the wall to the next room to open up some more space for all you citizens out there.
They're going to have to take the ice out of a couple of the rinks there so we can just have a full rink to ourselves. That'll definitely be the case. And Ross, I've never been to a playoff game, so I need it.
The last one I went to was against Pittsburgh in 2013. So I'm going on. It'll be 10 years this spring.
Been a while, yeah. Been a while.
Yeah. I didn't get to make it any in 2017, which would have been awesome. But what's your final thoughts after today's show? It's our first win of the season.
Yeah,
first win of the season. You absolutely love to see it. First win of many.
Credit to Sens fans for that win. Honestly, excitement, but also relief because I don't want to do this, but if we were in a world where they lose that game somehow and start off 0-3, this is a different episode. Let's just say that. So the relief and the joy that they get that 7-5 win at home in front of 19,000 of our closest friends, beautiful.
All right, for Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Tomorrow we'll have a full preview of the Washington Capitals who come to town without Connor Brown. Long-term injury, really unfortunate for a hashtag Sens Abroad that we want to see succeed throughout the rest of his career. Obviously, you never wish injury on anyone, but even more so, I think a lot of Sens fans, we told DJ Smith, like, Sens fans are cheering for that dude. So it's unfortunate that he won't be in. There's also a player on Washington suspended who won't be in tomorrow's game. So stay tuned for tomorrow's Locked On Senators, wherever you get your podcasts. And please subscribe on YouTube. And then tomorrow night in the postcast, you have about 24 hours from right now to get into the contest where we will randomly be picking a winner on the postcast where Pilsy and Atleems Marsh and I'll be flying back to Winnipeg during the game. So they'll have your coverage of Capitals, Senators at the CTC. But for today, we say goodbye. We'll chat tomorrow. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.